Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the third eagle of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. Like many of you, I did watch some of the canonization ceremonies this weekend of Pope John the 23rd and Pope John Paul II. And I did find quite a few disturbing images, which I will share with you in a few minutes. First of all, I want to talk about Pope Francis as the false prophet. Now that we know his role in these end times, quite a few Bible prophecies about him will be fulfilled in the coming days and weeks. First, let's look where he is found in the book of Revelation as a lamb with two horns. Revelation 13:11. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And of course, the dragon represents Satan. I believe the two horns like a lamb symbolize the 2 points on a bishop's or pope's mitre. And when he speaks like Satan, that means he will undermine the rules of the church. For example, he has stated that he will not kick homosexual priests out of the priesthood. As he said, "Who am I to judge?" And he has had a week now to disavow what he said to that Argentinian divorcee when he told her she could receive communion. Even though she is married to a divorced man, she is married outside the church, and that is against the rules of the Catholic Church. It's interesting that this second beast, the false prophet, comes up out of the earth after the Antichrist, the first beast, comes up out of the sea. And yet we know that the false prophet will announce the Antichrist, very much as John the Baptist announced Jesus Christ. That's why I believe we have to look earlier in Revelation to find a previous coming of the false prophet. And that's why I believe that Wormwood is another name for the false prophet. Revelation 8:10. And the third angel sounded the trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, burning as it were a torch, and it fell on the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. I believe the third part of the waters symbolizes 1/3 of the Catholic faithful, and the third part of the fountains symbolizes 1/3 of the clergy, that is, the priests and the bishops, who will apostatize due to the false teachings of the anti-pope, Pope Francis. Revelation 8:11, and the name of the star is called Wormwood. Notice Wormwood is capitalized. That indicates a person, and the star would be like a Hollywood movie star. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. I believe the waters also symbolize the beliefs of the faithful. And when they accept the false doctrines and dogmas of Pope Francis, they will become bitter like wormwood. And 1/3 of the faithful will die a spiritual death. Now in Revelation 9, another star falls from heaven, and he represents a precursor of Pope Francis, and that would be another Roman Catholic priest, also known as the famous Martin Luther. Revelation 9:1, and the fifth angel sounded the trumpet, and I saw a star fall from heaven upon the earth, and there was given to him, notice this is a person, the key of the bottomless pit. Martin Luther unleashed a plague of locusts, which symbolizes the breakup of Christianity, and the thousands upon thousands of different denominations, all of which preach that they alone have the full truth of the gospel. Revelation 9:5, And it was given unto them, that is, the locusts, that they should not kill them, that is, mankind, but that they should torment them 5 months. This is a symbolic number. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. The 5 months symbolize 5 centuries. And since Martin Luther posted his famous 95 Theses on Halloween of 1517, those 5 centuries will be up on October 31st, 2017. And please note how close that date is to November 3rd, 2017, which is exactly 1,290 days from April 23rd, 2014, this past week, when Almighty God toppled over that huge crucifix and crushed that unfortunate young man who happened to live on Pope John the 23rd Street. And now, let's look at another very important mission of the end times false prophet. Revelation 13:12. And he executed, now this he is Pope Francis, the false prophet, all the power of the former beast. This is the first beast which comes up out of the sea, the Antichrist, in his sight. And he caused the earth and them that dwell therein to adore the first beast, whose wound to death was healed. This adoration of the first beast, that is, of the Antichrist, will be the entire focus of the one world religion. Don't forget, the Antichrist has 7 heads, full of the names of blasphemy. They symbolize the 7 leaders of the world's apostate religions. And 7 is a number of completion, and that means that all the world's religions will support the one world religion of Pope Francis, the religion that will worship the Antichrist. And now I want to show you some clips from this weekend's canonization ceremonies where Pope Francis shows an amazing disrespect for the crucifix he carries because he uses it as a walking stick. Now, when I was an older boy, I was always taught to carry that crucifix right in the front and center of any procession and to show it to the people because we preach Christ and Him crucified. Now, I admit Pope Francis may use his crucifix as a walking stick simply because he is old and feeble. Notice in this clip where Pope Francis meets former Pope Benedict that the 2 points on his tiara could be considered as a symbol of 2 horns on a lamb. And it was not just at the canonization ceremonies, because last week on Easter Sunday, Pope Francis carried a different crucifix as a walking stick. And now I want to show you a very odd symbol from this week's canonization ceremonies, which I have never seen before in St. Peter's Square. Now keep your eye on the lower right-hand side of your screen. What in the world is that symbol? What does it mean? And I notice at the bottom there are 2 horns. Do they symbol the 2 horns of the false prophet? Now, in conclusion, I must admit, all popes have worn the 2-pointed papal tiara. And other popes, including Pope Benedict, have on occasion used their crucifix as a walking stick. However, I believe in the coming days and weeks, you are going to find a lot of famous Protestant leaders support Pope Francis because he is establishing a one world religion. And as I said before, it will be a Protestant religion. And as always, let me remind you to visit my new ThirdEagleMedia.com website, where I have unsealed all of the great vision chapters of that Old Testament prophet Daniel.